Wealth isn't free. It takes pieces of you until you check who you've become. Robert Kiyosaki. Before we begin, here's a small ritual. Write in the comments one word that accurately describes your current state. Sign it, and let's get started. Everyone talks about wealth. Everyone wants it, craves it, chases it like a ghost that promises safety, freedom, power. But almost no one asks, what's the real cost? They show you yachts, not ulcers. They praise luxury, not loneliness. They celebrate the millions, but hide the nights filled with doubt, anxiety, and a silence so loud it cracks your soul. Everyone wants to be rich. Almost no one wants to die for it. Because yes, it is death. Death of time, death of peace, death of parts of you that once laughed without calculating return on energy. People admire wealth, but they never meet the corpse buried under it. Let's be honest, you've felt it too. The frustration. You've tried the mindset tricks, the books, the rituals. You've worked harder, thought smarter, pushed further, but it's still not enough. It always feels one step away, like you're chasing a carrot tied to your own neck. You think you're broken, but the system is rigged to keep you chasing. You're not failing. You're running a race that was never meant to end. You don't lack discipline. You lack clarity about what it actually takes. Because behind every billionaire's face you admire is a story you don't know, a shadow you've never seen. And you need to see it, not because you should avoid wealth, but because you must know what you're truly asking for. What if the real currency isn't money, but sacrifice? What if the question isn't how to get rich, but what are you willing to lose? You won't find these answers in success podcasts. They won't tell you the truth, but in the next minutes, you will hear it from those who have lived it. Not theories, not hype, just the raw cost. You will hear from 5 of the wealthiest men in all of human history, not with their quotes, but as if their spirits speak through the truth of their journeys. And after that, you will know. You will know what they paid, what they gave up, and what you'll have to face if you truly want what they had. Because maybe the price is too high. Shall we begin? Imagine this: a dark room, no lights, no sound, just 5 figures seated in silence. Not politicians, not philosophers. These are men who bent the world to their will. Genghis Khan, Henry Ford, John Rockefeller, Warren Buffett, Elon Musk. Different times, different tools, same hunger, same truth. And now they speak, not to impress, but to warn. Genghis Khan leans forward. His voice is cold steel. They call me conqueror, but they forget what I had to kill. My enemies? Yes, but also my innocence, my peace. I trusted no one. I loved no one fully. Power made me king, but fear kept me alive. I slept with a blade, not a lover. I didn't build an empire, I became its prisoner. Then silence. Ford adjusts his cuff. Calm, calculating. I revolutionized the world. Cars, factories, efficiency. But my mind, it never rested. Obsession drove me. I didn't hear people, I heard systems. I didn't raise a son. I manufactured a successor. I believed in progress so much I forgot to feel. My machines became more human than I was. The room tightens. Rockefeller lifts his chin. A man carved from oil and control. I gave birth to corporate America, but I raised it with paranoia. I trusted no deal, no handshake, no smile. Money was my shield and my cage. I outlived rivals, but lost parts of myself along the way. I had everything, but never simplicity, never surrender. Every decision was war. Even family dinners felt like board meetings. The air thickens. Buffett exhales. Soft voice, sharp mind. They call me wise, patient, but patience can be an armor too. I didn't chase chaos. I avoided it. And in that safety, I built walls. I knew numbers more than people. My routine was God. My rituals, religion. But real life, it passed quietly. And sometimes I wonder, did I live wisely or just comfortably numb? Musk chuckles, tired, twitching. You see rockets, cars, innovation, but you don't see the inner war. I don't sleep. My mind eats itself. I chase futures to escape my present. Every victory feels like a failure in disguise. I build because I'm afraid of stillness. I move forward because I don't know how to stop. You think I lead, but sometimes I'm just running from myself. Then silence again. Each man paid, not with money, but with pieces of their soul. And now the question isn't what they gained. The question is, are you willing to lose that much? If these words speak to something real inside you, subscribe to this channel. Let's make sure more people hear the truths no one is willing to say. If you're one of those who's ready to look deeper, follow the Telegram channel too, where the masks fall even faster. And if this feels personal, if you see parts of yourself in these shadows, write in the comments, "I no longer run from pain." Let's see how many of us are done pretending. This is only the beginning. He wasn't born in a palace. He wasn't handed armies. He was born into chaos, betrayal, starvation. Before he became a symbol of conquest, he was a boy left for dead. His father was poisoned. His family abandoned. His tribe rejected him. He didn't choose violence. Violence chose him. And from that moment, every breath became a weapon. Genghis Khan didn't seek wealth the way we imagine it. His empire was not built on gold, but on bones. His riches came not from saving, but from seizing. And yet, what did he pay? His net worth, adjusted to today's value, is estimated in the hundreds of billions. If measured by land conquered and people ruled, he stands above emperors, kings, presidents. But his wealth came with a cost most people would not even dare to consider. He trusted no one. Betrayal was too familiar. Every alliance was temporary. Every friend, a potential threat. His mind lived in permanent defense. Sleep was strategy. Marriage was politics. Family was vulnerability. He sacrificed connection to maintain control. And while the world feared him, he feared stillness. Stillness meant exposure. Exposure meant death. His children were scattered. His empire fractured after him. His legacy is power. But his inheritance is blood. His wealth is stained with the lives of millions. You admire the size of his empire, but do you understand what it did to his soul? He had to become a god in the eyes of men just to survive. And gods don't get to feel. Gods don't get to rest. Gods don't get to love without consequence. What Genghis Khan paid was humanity. And this is not metaphor. It's literal. Every ounce of emotion he couldn't afford to feel was buried beneath strategy, violence, domination. His victories were not just over enemies, they were over empathy, over self. He didn't lose touch with emotion, he severed it. And that's what allowed him to conquer. Not brilliance, not vision, but the surgical removal of everything that made him vulnerable. So here's the question. You want power, you want control, you want the world to kneel. But are you ready to walk that path with blood on your hands, even if it's your own? Are you willing to become untouchable, if that means becoming unreachable? Are you prepared to be obeyed, but never loved, to win every war, and lose the ability to feel peace? Most will say yes in fantasy. Few survive the reality, because what you lose isn't visible. What you lose is the ability to ever be held without suspicion, to ever rest without fear, to ever speak without strategy. Is that wealth, or is that just a crown made of scars? This is what they never tell you when they glorify strength. They sell the power, not the pain. But now, you know. And once you know, you can't pretend anymore. The next time you speak the word empire, ask yourself, do you want the glory? Or can you carry the ghosts that come with it? He didn't want to conquer land. He wanted to conquer time. Henry Ford didn't just build cars. He built a new rhythm for humanity. A world where minutes mattered more than meaning. Where speed was God and repetition was religion. His name became synonymous with innovation, industry, and the assembly line. But behind that efficiency was a mind that never slept, a man who replaced chaos with obsession. At his peak, his adjusted net worth surpassed 200 billion in today's value. But the real measure of his wealth wasn't money, it was control. Ford didn't just shape machines, he shaped people to move like them. Predictable, replaceable, exact. And in that process, he shaped himself into something colder than steel. He micromanaged every detail, from factory output to workers' private lives. He created an empire of order, but at the cost of connection. His son Edsel was supposed to be the heir, but in reality, he became a casualty of the system Ford created. Ford's inability to let go, to trust, to allow imperfection, eventually drove Edsel into illness and early death. This wasn't just a business legacy, it was a dynasty strangled by perfectionism. Ford's vision demanded sacrifice, and he offered up family on the altar of progress. He believed in systems more than people. He reduced human complexity into equations, and when people didn't fit, he didn't adapt the system. He removed the person. Efficiency was purity. Emotion was noise. He saw kindness as weakness and flexibility as threat. That's why his empire thrived mechanically, but rusted relationally. His workers built history, but they also burned out in silence. His personal life mirrored his factories, structured, silent, emotionally starved. He wasn't known for laughter. He wasn't known for presence. He was known for results, for production, for standards. Even as his wealth grew beyond comprehension, his relationships hollowed. His wife lived in his shadow. His son died under his pressure. His friends feared his judgment. And yet, the world praises his genius without naming his ghosts. The question isn't whether Ford was successful. He was. The question is, what did success cost him? Not just in numbers, but in life, in intimacy, in joy. He left behind a legacy of automation, but also alienation. He proved that a man can change the world and still fail to love it. That one can be worshipped by history and yet misunderstood by everyone who truly mattered. So, what about you? You want to build. You want to innovate. You want your name remembered. But are you ready to become the machine? To see every delay as failure? To sacrifice spontaneity for scalability? To kill curiosity in the name of control? Can you look your child in the eye and say, "You're second to my mission," and live with what that does to them? Because that's the part they don't teach in business school. That's the part you won't find in documentaries. The part where success becomes a script, and the man behind it, a ghost in his own story. Now, you know. And again, you must ask yourself, do you want greatness, or do you just want to feel safe in a world you can predict? John Rockefeller didn't just make money, he became money. The richest American in history by today's standards, with an adjusted net worth approaching $500 billion. He monopolized oil, rewrote business, and built structures that still shape global finance. But behind every dollar was a mind trained for war. He saw enemies in everyone. He moved like a strategist, lived like a fortress. Trust was weakness, generosity was calculated, family was managed. Every handshake was a chess move. He didn't rest, he calculated. Even in his old age, surrounded by gardens and peace, his eyes never softened. His empire fed millions, but could he ever let his guard down? Could he truly love without fear of leverage? He became a myth, yes, but also a man isolated by his own empire of control. The price? Permanent vigilance, unshared truth, emotional exile. Then comes Warren Buffett, the oracle, the wise one, the calm in the chaos. He made hundreds of billions through patience, logic, and relentless consistency. He didn't chase trends. He waited, observed, played long games, but that same long game became his shell. He mastered avoidance. He avoided conflict, avoided vulnerability, avoided deviation. His discipline was armor, but also distance. He could read companies like open books, but often missed the pages of human emotion. His home was modest, but his routines were sacred. He ate the same meals, wore the same suits, lived in the same house, because change was threat. Predictability was safety. But what does that do to the soul? A life of stability can also be a life of numbness. Comfort in excess becomes its own prison. He succeeded by avoiding chaos, but in doing so, he may have missed the fire that brings intimacy, unpredictability, aliveness. He was not destroyed by ambition. He was preserved by caution, and maybe too preserved. And then, Elon Musk, chaos incarnate. He lives where others panic. He dreams where others sleep. His net worth reached hundreds of billions, but his real currency is momentum. He builds rockets, rewires industries, speaks futures. But listen carefully. His speed hides a fracture. He works like he's running from something. He talks like silence might devour him. Relationships collapse under the weight of his intensity. His sleep patterns break. His teams burn out. His mind never shuts down. He's not chasing success. He's escaping stillness. Innovation is his addiction, and sometimes addiction disguises itself as genius. Musk doesn't fear failure. He fears inactivity. And that's why he never stops. But what does it cost to be a man who never stops? Sanity, stability, connection, fulfillment. 3 billionaires, 3 strategies, 1 unspoken truth. Wealth amplifies your patterns. If you're paranoid, it builds walls. If you're avoidant, it builds distance. If you're manic, it builds chaos. Money doesn't change who you are. It magnifies it. These men didn't become powerful because they were balanced. They became powerful because they surrendered to their edge. But the edge cuts both ways. So here's your question now. Which of these shadows looks most like yours? Because if you want what they have, you won't get to choose only the light. You inherit the whole system, flaws, obsessions and all. Are you still ready? Or are you just in love with the filtered version? Let's strip away the fantasy. Let's stop pretending this is just about money. You say you want wealth, but do you even know what you're chasing? Most people don't want money. They want what they think money will give them. Freedom, respect, love, safety. But wealth doesn't guarantee any of that. In fact, it often makes those things harder. You think money will free you, but it might trap you in responsibility. You think it will bring you connection, but it often builds distance. You think it will make you feel whole, but it usually magnifies your emptiness. The deeper truth is this: most people are not after millions. They are after healing. They just don't know it. And because no one teaches them how to face pain directly, they try to bury it in success. They try to outwork shame, out-earn fear, outperform trauma. But pain doesn't disappear when you get rich. It just moves into a bigger house. Look around. How many wealthy people do you admire actually look free? How many seem peaceful, present? Most of them are always moving, always launching something new, always one step ahead, or at least trying to be. Why? Because stopping would mean facing themselves, facing the hole they were trying to fill all along. The grind becomes the mask, the business becomes the drug, and the money becomes the excuse to avoid truth. And this isn't judgment, this is clarity. If you want wealth, you must know what part of you is doing the wanting. Is it the adult in you, grounded and clear? Or is it the child in you, still chasing approval, still proving they're not worthless, still trying to earn a kind of love no amount of money can ever buy? This is not about rejecting success. It's about choosing it consciously, knowing exactly what you're trading, because there's always a trade. Your time, your peace, your relationships, your health, your identity. Not always all at once, but over time, something gets placed on the altar. The question is not if. The question is when, and whether you'll even notice it happening. Most people don't, until it's too late, until their kids don't recognize them, until their bodies start collapsing, until they have everything and still feel nothing. So what now? Step 1, stop lying to yourself. Step 2, get honest about your real motivations, not the ones you post, the ones you hide. Step 3, find the patterns, the wounds that drive your hunger. Step 4, do the inner work before you build the outer empire. Otherwise, the empire will reflect your damage, not your vision, and it will consume you, just like it consumed the ones you admire. Yes, you can still become wealthy. Yes, you can build, lead, create, leave a mark. But make sure the one doing it isn't just a wounded child wearing a suit. If this is still what you want, go. Go all in, but do it with your eyes open. Do it from wholeness, not from hunger. Because when hunger builds empires, it also burns them down. Every story you've heard here, Khan, Ford, Rockefeller, Buffett, Musk, they all lead to one place, the edge, the line where desire becomes decision, where ambition meets cost, where dreams are tested not by failure, but by success itself. Because success is not one thing. It never is. It's always two forces moving at once. Yin and yang, light and shadow, power and pressure, realization and rupture. And wealth, perhaps more than anything else, reveals this duality in its rawest form. On one side, wealth can give you impact, reach, the ability to change lives, build legacies, create entire realities. It can pull you out of poverty. It can give your family options they never had. It can make your name echo across time. But on the other side, it can isolate. It can harden your heart. It can force you to question every compliment, every friend, every connection. Are they here for you or for what you represent? It can inflate your ego while starving your soul. It can make you visible to millions and unknown to yourself. You become admired and misunderstood, surrounded and alone, celebrated and secretly exhausted. And this is the paradox no one prepares you for. You're told wealth will fix your life, but in truth, it exposes who you are, magnifies your cracks, expands your fears. It doesn't make you someone new. It makes you more of what you've always been. If you are grounded, it can lift you. If you are lost, it can destroy you. The problem isn't wealth itself, it's unconsciousness. Going after something without knowing why. Becoming something without realizing who you're losing along the way. So now it's your turn. You've heard the truth, not the Instagram version, not the highlight reel, the real one. The one most people avoid because it forces a mirror in front of your ambition. But here's what you must understand. Both sides of wealth will always exist. No matter how spiritual, strategic, or successful you become, the duality will remain. You don't get one without touching the other. So the question is no longer, do I want to be rich? That's not deep enough. The real question is, who are you willing to become to hold both sides without losing yourself? That's the work. That's the path. Not to chase wealth blindly, but to walk toward it awake, eyes wide open, shadow in one hand, light in the other, power in your chest, softness in your breath. So when you build, you don't break. When you lead, you don't abandon. When you win, you still feel. And when you rise, you know what you're rising for. If this truth resonates, subscribe to the channel. Let others find the part of themselves they've buried under ambition. If you feel the pull to go deeper, join the Telegram. That's where we continue, without filters. But more importantly, if this video stirred something in you, write in the comments, I accept both sides of success. Or write, my shadow walks with me. Or simply, I choose conscious wealth. Let's see how many here are ready not just to rise, but to remember who they are while rising. This isn't the end, it's the beginning, but only if you choose it.